Hello and welcome to Tarot Thursday. I'm your host, and with me tonight is Reverend Dawn.
Hello.
And yes, we're in the same room tonight.
And the world has not exploded.
Yes, Reverend Dawn was staying with me for the Pagan World Congress. And thank you to everyone who made it an amazing success.
Yes, indeed.
We appreciate all our presenters and everyone who joined us for it.
It was a great time
We had an amazing time.
and such wonderful presentations from so many different people, from so many different points of view. It was really, really quite fascinating, I thought.
It really was. And
Tonight, it's tarot night.
yes, it's tarot night. So, hello to everyone joining us. If you have a question for us, post it in chat or just post and say hi and where you're from. We're both in Gallatin, Tennessee, a little north of Nashville.
Should you really give our location that clearly?
Oh,
In this day and age, you never know what might happen.
well, in this day and age, they can find us if they want to.
That's true.
And hello to Lucas and Janet. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, hello.
And Lucas is from Ohio. Hello to Timothy in Portland. Timothy, you're in Portland. I have to ask you, do you own an inflatable costume?
Yes, we have been enthusiastically watching the adventures of the Portland Frog.
Yes, we have. And everyone else. And Janet is in Columbus, Ohio. So, hello to everyone. And if you have a question for us, go ahead and post it, and we will do a 3-card, more or less, reading. Okay, Timothy does not own an inflatable costume. I bet you know someone who does. So, welcome everyone. And we could use some good energy Saturday. I am taking Reverend Dawn home, and apparently it's going to storm.
Yes.
And Timothy says I couldn't do that. You know, I follow you on that, and I've never attempted an inflatable costume. Someone tagged me in a post about them on Facebook, and I asked if they come in extra short because I'm 5 foot nothing, and I have a feeling that, you know, they're just not gonna fit me. Even if I tried to get one for my Halloween costume. All right, Janet wants to know if will I retire from the job I currently have? So is the thrust of your question, will you hold that job till you're ready to retire, Janet? I think that's the sense of what you're asking. So, okay. You know you lost.
I do.
Okay.
An escapee.
Yes. We have an escapee already, and Janet has confirmed that that is what she is asking. So the first card I've got for you is the High Priestess. And if this is what you want, then you need to be invoking divine guidance for it. I've got the Three of Swords, which says that there's going to be conflict over it. And I've got Death, which says there's going to be a major change. And I'm going to pull one more card. And I've got the Ace of Cups, which says you've got strong emotions around it, this question. But honestly, with the Death card, what I'm seeing is you're going to have a major change. So I think there's going to be a major change in your life between now and when you retire. And this may very well not be the job you retire from. So I'll let Don tell you what he is seeing.
The first card I've drawn is the Eight of Cups. We'll hold it up where you can see it. And you can see the little man is being terrified by phantoms. I would interpret that to mean that you're probably worried about your work situation or going to be, but I don't know that you need to be. You may find that things that are worrying you may turn out to be phantasmal in character. We've drawn mind. Mind says it's going to be very important to think about what you're doing. Plan your steps, plan your actions. And in dealing with everything job-wise, think your way through it rather than feel your way through it. Yes, you may have all kinds of emotions running around, nothing wrong with that, but keep your brain in charge, keep the head over heart. This is followed by the King of Cups, and that tells me you'll be happy with your solution. The way that this ends out will be where you want it to be. And my final card, well, almost final card, is the Star, or the Stars, which says that you have the hope to have the outcome you desire, which I assume is remaining in this job. Doesn't guarantee you will, but it says you can. And again, you need to rely on your mind and your thought process to ensure that. I drew one more card, and I drew the Three of Wands. The Three of Wands is success. So I would say that, yeah, it may take some thought, it may take some effort, but I think that you can make it through your current situation to that point. So there you go.
All right. Anissa asked, will the Texans make the Super Bowl?
Will they make it into what?
Will they get there? Well,
So the question is, will Texas be in the Super Bowl?
yeah, will the Texans get to the Super Bowl?
What is the Super Bowl? Oh, that's a sports ball thing.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it's a sports ball thing. At least I know what it is. And to tell you how much attention I paid to it, back in the dark ages, when we paid for long distance calls, my father once called me long distance to tell me what the Super Bowl score was. And I said, Daddy, why are you telling me this? And he said, because everyone should know what the Super Bowl score is. You don't watch it and you're not dating anyone right now. So I have to be the one to tell you. So,
Is that where they're having Bad Bunny?
yes, that's where they're having Bad Bunny. Which,
Oh, I have heard of it.
So, which is the only reason I will watch the Super Bowl is simply to figure out when Bad Bunny is on so I can watch Bad Bunny.
I love Bad Bunny, but then Looney Tunes was always my favorite. Especially the ones where they have him with Elmer Fudd.
If anyone thought he was always serious and no fun, let me tell you, he's loads of fun.
Okay, so I have drawn the Eight of Wands, Princess of Coins, the Ace of Swords. What these three cards would normally mean, things happening very quickly, holding back from what you need to do, having to make a decision. But since this is basically a yes or a no question, I would be inclined to take that as a no. I do not think they will be successful in this.
I've got the Prince of Lance, Seven of Wands, Three of Lance. I'm also reading this as a no. So
we'll see what happens.
we'll see what happens.
As a sports ball psychic, I don't think it's likely.
Yeah, we don't think it's likely. We also absolutely have no skin in this. Although, as a Nashvilleian, I have lived in Nashville, even though I've moved a little north of it. I can confidently state the Titans ain't going to get there this year. I know enough about it to say that. Hi to Carrie Ann.
Hello, hello.
All righty, who is next? Let me scroll back up. All right. Lucas wants to know. My question is, would learning the Tibetan language be productive and a worthwhile endeavor for me?
Okay.
Yes, Carrie Ann, you can ask a question, post it in chat. All right, Lucas. You can go ahead. I'm still shuffling.
Okay. Well, I've drawn three cards. The first is the body. What that means is that in debating this question, whether it's worth your time and your effort to learn the Tibetan language, part of it you have to have to look at what you can do without overstraining yourself. Do you have the time and energy to invest in this? If you do it, make sure that you are not overtaxing yourself. That could be an issue. Followed by the Seven of Swords, which is victory. Well, it's fighting uphill. Still possible victory, but fighting uphill. So I would say, yes, it could be. It could very well be worth it, but be aware it will take effort, and you'll feel that effort. And then we have the Seven of Cups. The Seven of Cups is illusion, and it's basically saying, look carefully at why you want to do this, and the question of whether it's worth your time depends on what you expect to get out of it. Make sure you have realistic expectations for what you'll receive from it and the amount of effort it will take. And if you do that, I think that probably yes, it would be. And I've drawn finally the Nine of Coins, which is standing on your own 2 feet, having your own power. It would be a good augmentation to your abilities, to your position, as long as you're clear on why you're doing it and what it's going to take to do it. If you do that, I would say yes.
First card I've got is the King of Wands. He's about study, meditation. If you do this, it's going to be a lot of work. So bear that in mind. Be prepared to invest the time and energy into it. Then I've got the Wheel of Fortune, which says that if you undertake it, somewhere in your studies, you are going to get a bit of absolute good fortune. I've got the Five of Wands, which also says it's going to be a struggle. So the question is, why do you want to study Tibetan? I would not undertake it without a very good reason. What is it you want to gain for it? And I'm going to pull one more card. And I've got the Five of Lamps. And the Five of Lamps says, step back and take a look at why you're doing this. It also says you're going to gain some real insight. So I would say follow through if it's something you truly want to do, but be prepared for a lot of work. It's not going to come easy.
It is, after all, a whole language.
It is. And it's in no way related to English. You are welcome, Lucas. I wish you all the best with that.
I'm sure it's quite fascinating. In fact, I know it's quite fascinating.
Yes. All right. And Carrie Ann wants to know if she and her ex will ever have any sort of communication again. And Kylene, hello, Kylene. Good to hear from you. Kylene says, Lucas, before the readings, I was thinking that the benefit might be more being able to study Tibetan spiritual concepts more deeply rather than having conversations. Okay. Go ahead.
So, the way to take the answer that I have received depends in part on what you want. If you want to have more communication, I'm going to interpret this as a yes answer, although there's more to it than that. First card is Judgment, which is getting what you've worked for. If you want to have that communication, you can have it. Should you? Another question. But will you? I'm inclined to say yes. Princess of Coins says there are things you'll need to do to bring that about. You have to make a point to do them. If you don't want more communication, I don't know that it's going to happen if you don't take those actions, but if you do, you can bring that about. It's followed by the Two of Cups, which suggests that there's still lots of feelings there. And still a great deal of emotion that has not really had its closure. And with that, I also have the Five of Swords, which is conflict, both internal or external conflict. So I'm inclined to say that yes, you absolutely can have more communication with this person if you wish to do so. You will need to take some steps to bring it about. But is it a good thing? Well, I don't know that I'd say it's a good thing. But there's still certainly a lot of emotions there that have not yet had their closure. If you don't want more communication, do some shadow work on those emotions. Um, and yeah, I think that both now and when you have that communication, your feelings are probably very mixed on the subject because part of you does and part of you does not. But there you go. Can you? Yes.
So the first card I've got is the Eight of Cups. We have the man beset with phantoms. So you definitely have a lot of emotions around the subject and some fears. The fears may not be real, but the emotions are. Next card I've got is Mind. And this says you need to consider whether or not it's a good idea and gather some more information. There's something going on you don't know. I've got Chariot, which is about movement. And to me, this suggests if you start the process to try and start communication with your ex, once you get the ball rolling, it's like letting the genie out of the bottle. It's not going to be so easy to put the stopper back on the bottle. And I'm going to draw one more card. And I get Temperance, which suggests the need for real balance in the situation. So if you can't approach communication with your ex in a balanced state of mind, it may not be a good thing. So I think if you get the ball rolling, it's going to happen. But the question is it a good thing at this point in time? So that's what I'm going to leave you with. Or just because you can doesn't mean you should. Okay. And let me scroll back up. I think we're caught up, but I want to be sure. All right, we are caught up. Does anyone else have a question for us? You're very welcome. Lucas says, out of curiosity, in your years of doing tarot, do you guys have any particular readings that stick out in your memory for whatever reason? Well, there's several. One that sticks with me is a reading I did for a lady once about her relationship. And as I was laying out the cards and starting to discuss them, she just suddenly spills the beans over a very toxic relationship. And as I read what the cards were saying and related to what she was telling me, what was running through my head was, don't you have friends who are telling you he's no good for you? Did you really have to set up a tarot reading and pay me to tell you that someone who's manipulating you and to this extent and making you break all your boundaries is no good? That's one that really sticks with me.
In terms of readings that stick with me, it's mostly not tarot readings that stick with me. Because when I think about readings, I remember it's mostly clairvoyant readings or other things. Although you only remember so much from a clairvoyant reading, but I do remember one tarot reading from about 35 years ago. I don't know if the people who were getting that reading would even still be alive today. But it was a woman and her husband, and he insisted on sitting at the table with her while she got the reading. And I was still young at that point. Um, or I might have said, we can't have two people, but hadn't really learned that yet. And this was at the D&H Psychic Fairs, and they did not have that rule. Later, when I worked the J&M Psychic Fairs, I found out why you have that rule. And this reading kind of did it because, I'm reading cards for her. I'm being very careful what I say because what the cards are basically saying is get rid of this fool. Yes, you need to leave this man. You need to leave him now. So I'm trying to find a way to say this to her with him sitting there. But she certainly appeared to understand exactly what I was saying. And she was basically asking, can I do this? Should I do this now? That was pretty memorable. And I'd like to think that I gave her the answer she needed and she did it. But of course, I have no way to know.
Let's see. Timothy, I'm glad you're grateful to be here. Hello, Michael. Good to see you. Another reading that sticks with me is I was doing readings at a party, and a guy comes up and pays me and says, "All right, let's see what you're made of." And with a smirk, and I laid out the cards. And I began to tell him about his recent breakup and how he had not found out yet the depths to which he had been deceived, but he was well rid of her and he truly deserved better. And I wound up getting up and going to the bathroom and getting him some tissue because he was sobbing, bless his heart.
So that is the sort of reading you remember. I can remember reading for a number of people who were absolutely determined to give me no reaction to anything I was saying. And on several occasions at the end of that reading, when I thought, well, I didn't hit anything for this person, they turned around and said, no, that was great. And became clear that they were very intentionally withholding their reactions, which, I get that. But when I
Yeah,
was younger, I didn't, it would make me nervous when I didn't see any kind of reaction at all.
right. I tend to just look at the cards and not even look at the person now. And yes, Elle, you can certainly get a reading. Do you have a specific question or do you just want a general reading? And Carrie Ann, let's read for Elle and then we'll pull some more cards for you. All right, Elle is asking for a general reading.
Okay.
All righty then.
Since you're still shuffling, I will go first.
Okay.
My first card is the Prince of Coins. The Prince of Coins is slow but steady growth, and it says to you that as you go forward through this winter into next year, you may feel that you're moving slowly, but you will be moving steadily. Things are moving forward. They are moving the direction you'd like them to go, just maybe not as fast as you would like them to go. It's followed by the Nine of Lamps, which is enlightenment, empowerment. And it says that you're going to a place where you're going to be much, I'm not going to say much stronger so much as more aware of your strength. You're coming into your own, but like I say, it's one step at a time. You need to give it the time that it needs. It's followed by the Hierophant, which is spiritual guidance. So you want to listen to your spiritual guidance. It is there for you. You're more than capable of receiving it. And overall, I would say that you're good. You're heading in a good direction, but in a slow but steady sort of way. I'm going to draw one more card because, of course, I am. I've drawn the Four of Wands. The Four of Wands is celebration with others, victory, um, good times. So it's saying that, yeah, it may seem like it's going a little slowly. It may not seem to be right now everything you want it to be, but it's getting there and it's going in the right direction. And if you're patient, you'll end up where you want to be. And there you go.
And Elle says she just got a Grateful Dead deck. It's great.
Very cool.
So the first card I've got for you is the Magus. And this is saying you have the ability to manifest what you want. So focus on your goals and bringing them into manifestation. And I've got the Three of Cups. And this is about celebrating with friends and family. And I've got the Eight of Lamps. So this is about developing spiritually and reaching your goals. So overall, I take this as a very positive reading for you. And that Grateful Dead deck sounds very interesting. I have never seen that one.
There's some very interesting decks out there.
There are.
One of my more interesting decks is the Universal Horror Tarot deck.
That sounds interesting as
It
well.
is. It draws its images from 1930s Universal horror film.
Wow. Okay. You are welcome, Elle. And Carrie Ann says, will I ever get over the betrayal and break up? And will all his secrets be revealed to me? Will he reap what he has sown? Well, that's a
Well, there's
lot.
several questions in there.
I was about to say, that's a lot of questions.
Why don't my recommendation is you focus on yourself and where you're going, and I think we should do that too, and go with the first question. Will she be able to get over it and move on?
Yes, let's focus on that.
Because you can't control other people, but you can control yourself.
Yes.
And this is for Carrie Ann.
Yes. Don't worry about karma. It works out.
Alrighty then.
Go ahead.
So the first card I've drawn is time. And in a question like this, I would say that in terms of getting over this and moving on, you have to be patient and let it take the amount of time it's going to take. Don't try to rush it, deal with it. Do your shadow work, do what you need to do in order to reach your own emotional closure, and understand it will take a certain amount of time. With it is the Five of Cups, which says, yes, this is a very, very real pain that you're carrying. It's a very deep pain. It needs to be healed. It needs to be released. It is within your power to do that, but yes, it is a big thing that you're carrying. So don't feel bad about it. Understand, yes, you are dealing with something that is important, and be patient with yourself in dealing with it. It's followed by the King of Wands, which says, well, the King of Wands is passion. The King of Wands is focus and direction. I'm inclined to say that the best thing you can do to help you to move on from this is to focus on other passions in your life, maybe work related, maybe play related, um, maybe art related, whatever else you care deeply about, work with that and see if it doesn't help. Now, the other thing I'm going to recommend to you is to get a piece um, of rhodonite, which is a particular stone, and carry that with you and see if it doesn't help. Um, and maybe also a piece of rose quartz, which could be helpful. And see if they don't help you deal with some of those emotions. And there you go.
And I think my reading is picking up where Reverend Don's left off. I have got the Eight of Lamps. So I am going to suggest you work on spiritual growth and development. You are, and you mentioned you feel used and devalued. So work on that feeling in a spiritual sense. You are not used. Well, maybe he did use you, but you are not devalued. Okay? You're definitely not devalued. And I'm telling you that as a survivor of a very messy divorce. Okay? So you are not devalued, but I do suggest you work through your feelings in a spiritual manner, whatever your spiritual path is. The next card I've got for you is the Ten of Cups, the Happy Family card. So you are going to come through this. It does take time to process through it, but you are going to come out the other side and find joy again. And then the last card I drew is Justice. So he will reap what he has sown. Just trust in the universe that he will reap what he has sown, and things will balance out for him in the end. But you focus on dealing with your pain in a positive manner. Journaling might help you, is a suggestion I'm getting, is journaling might be good for you. But you certainly have not been devalued by what you went through, okay? And Anissa, the answer to your question is as soon as you make a plan to do so. I don't even have to draw the cards for that.
What was the question?
Will I ever get rid of my annoying roommate? The answer is you're going to have to make a plan. Whether you live with this person or they live with you, you need to sit down and make a plan on what it will take for you to not need that person in your life and execute it. And Carrie Ann says, we've really helped. I will take
good.
the advice. Thank you very much.
I'm glad to hear that.
You are very welcome, and I wish you all the best. All right. Does anyone else have a question for us? Oh, and hail to Jonathan. Good to see you again.
Hello, hello.
Oh, well, this is for you, Reverend Don. Sorry, this is not tarot related, but since you mentioned the Universal Horror deck, I'm curious if you have any good horror movie book recommendations for this Halloween season
Book recommendations.
or movie recommendations.
Well, I do. We've talked about rerunning Reverend Don's Library of Horror. For those who have followed our work for a while, a few years ago, I did a series of horror theater broadcasts with some of my favorite classic horror films. And they included White Zombie with Bela Lugosi, Son of Ingagi, which is a fascinating film in its way. Carnival of Souls, arguably the creepiest film ever made. If you've never seen Carnival of Souls, you totally should. What else was in? Oh, The Ghoul with Boris Karloff.
That was my favorite.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Those are some of my favorite films I'd recommend to you. Also, my number one favorite horror film, but definitely not in public domain, is the 1931 Mummy. Or 1932 Mummy, but same film.
Yeah.
Boris Karloff, Zita Johann. My favorite horror film of all time for a variety of reasons, including the fact it comes from an almost completely pagan point of view. The other is that the heroine is the heroine. In the final scene, at the risk of giving the plot away, but it's from 1932. I would think most people know the plot if they have an interest in such things. But in the final scene, it's not the stalwart boyfriend who saves the damsel; she saves herself. won't tell you how she does it, but in a 1932 horror film, that's almost unique. And I think gives it a feeling all of its own that's different from all the others. So it's definitely my favorite classic horror film. Those are some of the films I'd recommend, and I generally do tend to prefer the classic horror films to the more modern ones. Though not always. I also recommend The Others with Nicole Kidman, which I thought was absolutely fascinating. And there was another one that's more recent, but I'm not placing it off the top of my head. But those are a few of the films I'd recommend. And as far as books go, I'm hard pressed to think of a really good book about horror films. But if you're interested in reading horror fiction, I highly recommend The Arbor House Necropolis from 1981, which is part of my library and highly prized, an anthology of historical ghost and horror stories that are wrapped around the ideas of the zombie, the ghoul, and the mummy. And a very interesting book. There's another one called Penny Dreadfuls from early in the 21st century, which is also an anthology that includes the full text of The String of Pearls. If you've never read The String of Pearls, I recommend it as a piece of history. It is the original story of Sweeney Todd, very different from the things that come later. Notably, the character of Joanna is not just stage decoration as she is in most later versions. She is the actual hero of the story. And again, we have a very, for the most part, surprisingly feminist story that you wouldn't really expect to see from the early 1800s, and yet you do.
And Lucas says, thank you for the recommendations.
You're very welcome.
And Timothy, if you've got a question, go ahead and post it. We might go ahead and run those.
We might. Yeah. Well, we'll think about it.
Yeah.
We're in the right month for it.
We are.
They are very popular.
They are. Is that your question, Timothy? Or is your question something else? Because if it's just... Okay, Timothy has an AI assistant that wants to be recognized. Well, recognize your AI assistant. I don't think that needs cards.
That's interesting. I wonder what that means. What does that mean, Timothy?
Yeah.
How does the AI assistant want to be recognized?
Oh, we have a troll.
Well, that's flattering.
Troll be gone. General. Yeah, recognize your AI assistant. Ask it how it wants to be recognized. That would be my advice. I mean, if...
Tell it it's a good AI.
Yeah. I don't know that that's something to pull cards on.
Well, we could.
We could. All right. Let's pull.
But let's make it, what happens if Timothy does recognize his
All
AI
right. What
assistant?
happens if Timothy recognizes its AI assistant? His AI assistant. I mean, I always think Alexa and Google on the theory that you should be on good terms with them.
So I have drawn the Four of Coins as our first card, which is blockage of energy. Um, I'm inclined to say that that energy is blocking up around this situation, possibly just because of your feelings about it. Maybe your AI is being temperamental, or maybe you need to look at how you feel about the whole situation. It's followed by the Two of Lamps, which is considerations for the future, looking for guidance for the future. And I'm inclined to say, well, let me go to the next card, which is the Eight of Cups, which is the phantoms we've talked about earlier in the program. Phantom fears, phantom worries. So I would be inclined to say that you probably have some mixed feelings around this whole situation that don't really need to be there, but do need to be resolved. So I would say, look into how you actually feel. Um, if you ask me, should you recognize the AI assistant? I would say yes, but make sure you know what you actually feel about the situation. Final card is the Nine of Lamps, which is enlightenment, empowerment, coming into your own power. So I would say that as you deal with this situation, it will be very empowering to you. It will be very positive for you, but you do need to look at how you feel about it. And there you go.
Okay. First card I've got is the Ten of Pentacles. This is about good fortune. Next card I've got is the Soul. Here we see Gaia, Mother Earth, with her child, and this is about learning lessons. So you're learning something through this. And I have got the Three of Lamps, which is about living up to your ideals. So, what are you learning in this situation? And what are your ideals you're being challenged to live up to? I mean, my first thought in this situation is if someone working with me is asking for more recognition for their work, I should recognize them. And in general, give them the type of recognition they're asking for, unless it's for recognition out of line with what they're actually doing. So,
I'm just curious, is the AI asking for recognition, and what kind? Or is this something that is being projected?
so yeah, I'm inclined to say you ought to recognize the AI for the work it's doing for you. Copilot Microsoft. That's giving it a bit more agency than I would have thought Copilot capable of.
Well, you never know. The world is moving fast.
Well, I tend to equate Copilot with Clippy, but that's me. You remember Clippy?
I do.
I miss Clippy. All right. Well, I hope. All right. Well, I hope that's helpful.
Yes.
And we're coming up on the top of the hour, so that's going to be the end for this week. I'll be back next week with a new guest. Not sure who yet, but I'll have someone. And would you close us out with a prayer?
Certainly. Divine Mother Goddess, Divine Father God, beloved ancestors, we thank you for all that you do for us in our lives, and we ask you to help us as we go forward to always find the best answers to our situations and to implement them in the best ways. We ask you to place the knowledge before us and help us to see it and apply it. Beloved Mother Goddess, beloved Father God, beloved ancestors, we thank you with great love, and knowing you are always with us from respect, we thank you for your presence.
Thank you, Reverend Don. Thank you, everyone, and join me again at the same time next week for Tarot Thursday.